Radiant team ban.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Hitbox European Championship here on the Pro Dota English channel with a little help from Alpha Draft Steel Series and esportgaming.com. Not too late to place bets on probably this one, maybe, but definitely the next one, since this is going to be one of the two best of three series of the day. So be sure to check out the sponsors, guys. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by Danelie for this match, and well, I should probably give her a call because that would actually help in actually getting her in this game, because you know that would otherwise just not work out. But until we actually get that done, because I'm clearly on the ball right now. You guys may have some questions. Aspera, they were supposed to go up against 4 Anchors and Sea Captain. Now they're going to go up against Teamless. I don't know what Canistra in attack really is, but that's fine. You can take a look at Teamless members right now. Lots of notable names, and if you look at Aspera, they're all tagged as stand-in, but they're all official members, and Danny should be here by now.
Yes, I am. So could you clarify who PSM was? Because I'm pretty sure in the lobby
PSM is just
was
PSM.
asking, it's just PSM?
Yeah.
Because he asked if it was Sunlight, and then
No. I mean, unless Sunlight is...
standard PSM. So I'm not, yeah, just...
Sunlight may be stealing someone else's name, but PSM is definitely PSM.
Okay. Alright then.
Unless Sunlight is stealing his name. I don't know. Maybe.
I have no idea. But then, yeah, they're supposed to be Team Nameless, right? Then they're in Team Canistra in attack, and then they have a picture of a gasoline tank.
Well, I mean, inherently their name is a paradox, so I wasn't really expecting that much from them anyway.
Okay. That's fine.
Well, they also, because we are a little bit late, they got docked, what, like 70 seconds of reserve time, so they don't exactly have the luxury of sitting and thinking about every single ban and pick they're going to make. That being said, most of the bans that you would expect are in here right now. Wyvern's still in the pool, but Gyrocopter Earthshaker, this is one of my favorite openings. Just getting the supporter for that mid lane, or supporter in general, and getting a super strong, really individual safe laner.
And one of the better scaling supports as well. Earthshaker, you don't really look at him for damage in the late game though, he's just there for the control. So just having him in the backlines with a Blink Dagger is always going to be very important. Aspera, they're going to pick themselves up a Queen of Pain and Clockwork. So they've already got 2 very proactive heroes that will be very aggressive on the map, but are they going to pick something else up to complement these heroes? Because we saw last game, did we see the exact same 4 heroes picked up yesterday between...
In this?
It was the second game.
In this
exact
sequence,
same,
I don't know, but
it was the exact same sequence.
I'll take your word for it.
No?
I see these heroes so often that it's just like whatever, you know. I don't remember.
Okay.
Memory.
It was the exact
memory
same sequence, and I think it was the exact same sides as well.
I can check if you really think that you're right about that, but I'm pretty sure you're not.
Just leave it, okay? We'll just leave it. It is absolutely fine.
Alright, we'll just leave it like that. But Gyrocopter Earthshaker, as I said, a pretty strong opening. And Aspera's opening, well, they're not too weak either. Queen of Pain, as well as a Clockwork. So gonna get their off lane, gonna get one of the stronger off lanes in the game. Together with the Darkseer, I think, probably top 2. Maybe Spiritbreaker, Tusk, throw them in there as well. But Queen of Pain is going to be at least attempted to be protected by the Aspera side. Banning out the Shadow Fiend, banning out the Ember Spirit, really heroes that can capitalize off of the Earthshaker Fissure. Also the previous Lina ban as well. So they're just trying to protect their Queen of Pain mid as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So Aspera has picked up a Clockwork and Queen of Pain. Are there any supports that you're going to be looking into particular for Aspera to pick up? I was thinking Disruptor, that you can have the Static Storm set up with the Clockwork, or maybe even having a Witch Doctor instead, if you didn't want to go for the Disruptor.
Yeah, those are definitely options. As far as Aspera were concerned, they recently had a roster shuffle, which may be why they're all tagged up as stand-ins. Used to be super aggressive, like running Night Stalker aggressive, and I kind of hope that they still have shades of that, because I love Night Stalker and I want to see him played more. But yeah, Aspera, they may or may not go for that, you know, just off-the-rails type of aggression. But outside of that, just getting the Clockwork already is a pretty good primary start. Someone like a Skywrath Mage is someone that they should keep their eyes open for if they need the point-click silence.
Yeah, I remember from yesterday as well. The Clockwork and Skywrath Mage really work well together. So Undying going to be the final ban for Team Nameless. So they're getting rid of that really strong team fight hero. Now, with the limited reserve time, they're going to have to decide what heroes that they want very, very soon. They're going to be down to 3 seconds. They're going to pick up the Rubik, so very solid support
Dire
to
team
go with the Earthshaker. And also, Rubik's going to have quite a few options with spell steals just between the Queen of Pain and Clockwork already. And he'll have the added bonus of those 3 other heroes. What spells would you be looking at for if you were that Rubik? Would you be going for Hookshot and Blink? Would you be going for Sonic Wave?
Sonic Wave, if you can get it. Usually you can't, just because if you see Queen of Pain casting Sonic Wave, you're probably dead at that point. But yeah, Blink is actually like probably the most realistic thing that Rubik can grab, and is also the most useful, with Hookshot and Cogs being, you know, second and third, or third and second, or whatever. But yeah, just having a Blink into Telekinesis, I mean, we already see it very frequently, in fact, because Rubiks typically try to get that Blink dagger. But if you can grab it from the Queen of Pain, man, that's just aces. Jump in, lift someone up into a Rocket Barrage, into a Call Down, and yeah, that'll most likely be a kill every single time. So for Teamless or Canistra or whatever we're going to call them, this is a pretty safe opening. Their defensive tri-lane is looking to come together in a pretty safe manner.
Yeah. So we're going to have the Winter Women picked up for Team Aspera. So they're going to have some nice AoE crowd control with the Winter's Curse. Now, one thing to note with this Winter Women is she is not going to have the best time with the Cold Embrace. Gyrocopter is one of those particular carries where he has a lot of magical damage. And so this is going to be very useful for the early game when Winter Women tries to go for the Cold Embrace saves. It's going to be very difficult for those to execute if the Gyrocopter is nearby. But still, the hero in general is going to be very useful. The only problem, though, is in towards the late game, Winter Women becomes a one-trick pony in that she's only going to be there for the Curse and the Cold Embrace. And aside from that, she's going to be a non-factor afterwards.
Yeah, Winter Riven's kind of like a one-dimensional hero in the early game, and then a different dimension, but still one-dimension hero in the late game. But those are still really good things to have, especially now with the Storm Spirit in play. Aspera don't really have any reliable crowd control effects. Maybe they'll get an Orchid on this Queen of Pain. Hookshot into Cogs doesn't really disable Storm Spirit for long enough to convincingly get this kill, so they now have a really easy target to paint with that Winter's Curse. You cast on the Storm Spirit, and you actually have a chance of killing him off. The Aspera definitely do need a little bit more CC, and yeah, there it is, Scarlet Mage. They're going to grab it, not only just to combo with the Clockwork, Winter Wyvern, and the Queen of Pain, all of which do a lot of magical damage, but also shut down the Storm Spirit and his zipping all around. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good response here from Aspera, and for Canistra, I mean, Storm Spirit with a little bit of help from Shaker in the mid lane, it'll help the Storm Spirit not to lose the lane versus Queen of Pain. That's really all you can count on.
Yeah, absolutely. But you look at Aspera's draft now, they picked up the Scarlet Mage. They're pretty light in terms of disables. And so this is going to give Canestra the opportunity where if Aspera uses some of the spells and they're on cooldown and they cannot burst their targets as quickly as they can, there's a chance that Canestra could just TP out. So that's going to be something that they're going to have to keep an eye on. Are they going to supplement their draft with something that is going to give them late game potential and just disable afterwards? Are there any carries that you would say Aspera should be looking towards that are still available?
I mean, the pool of just carries with disables is really slim. We saw Sven yesterday. That doesn't really fit into Aspera's draft, and it's really not what you want up against a Storm Spirit and an Earthshaker especially.
10 seconds
outside of that, maybe they could just like try to just go the burst route, like, you know, grab a safe lane Templar Assassin, something like that. Ooh, but Canistra, they're going to grab an Invoker. This is actually a pretty interesting pick here. I don't know how their lanes are going to shake down. Maybe they're actually going to plan on going for an offensive tri-lane, in which case, Aspera, you really can't afford to making a super picky selection. You just have to get a hero that won't get crushed by that.
Not just crushed. I feel like if Aspera is feeling very confident, they could pick up the Anti-Mage, and if the Anti-Mage can get some okay farm, then he's going to do very well up against not only a Storm Spirit, but also an Invoker, two very, very juicy targets for an Anti-Mage that does have farm. But as you mentioned, he has to survive during that phase, so Anti-Mage, he looks promising, but I don't feel like he's going to be suitable for this game. So what's left? PL's already been banned, Bloodseeker's going to be a no-go, Ember Spirit's already taken out of the pool as well.
Juggernaut, just to survive. I mean, it really depends on how defensive Aspera want to play their defensive tri-lane. Because Rubik, Earthshaker, Gyrocopter is pretty strong, but you could definitely do a little bit better as far as offensive tri-lanes are concerned. So, you know, maybe Aspera are just going to say, you know, we could grab this Juggernaut and we'll play super defensively, or maybe they could try being a little bit more risky with the Anti-Mage. And, well, I guess they just answered that question. Anti-Mage is going to be the pick.
Yeah, sorry, you're sounding a little bit robot to me, so I'm not too sure if I'm going to be the same for you.
No, you sound fine. Let's just recall so it's not. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. Let's hopefully fix robotic voices on both ends right now. But yeah, we have ourselves a draft, guys. Anti-Mage going to be the last pick, as Danny already said. Storm Spirit and Invoker, juicy targets to Mana Void, especially that Storm Spirit. And as far as carries that have CC, Anti-Mage definitely isn't that hero. But up against Storm Spirit, you just have Mana Void. And why do you need to stun a hero if you can just go ahead and kill him? And worst comes to worst, Mana Void also does have a mini stun attached to it. So canceling TPs, now they have Wyvern, Clockwork, and Anti-Mage. It's not the best, but it's something.
It'll do. It'll have to do for them this game. So now, Aspera, their goal is to go for the full Protect 1, make as much space as they can for that Anti-Mage, and to just hope that he's going to get enough farm to become relevant in the game. Whereas for Teamless? Teamless? Oh god, this is weird.
I have no
but for
idea.
Team Teamless, but what they have to do is they have to somehow either crush the lanes or get sufficient farm from the lanes to come online and to either decide to shut down the anti-mage on the side of Aspera or to just slowly starve Aspera in general. So get map control, take down towers, take Roche, just slowly take those objectives and starve Aspera of map control. So we'll have to see who manages to execute that draft better than the other one. Are there any drafts that you would say would be stronger than the other one for the moment?
This Invoker is a little bit of a question mark for me because we just don't get to see that many games with him. But that being said, I think I do like Teamless's draft just a little bit. It's probably going to be an Exhort Invoker. At least it feels like they have enough stun set up and enough to capitalize on that. So with that, with the initiation of the Storm Spirit, I think they probably should be able to keep this Gyrocopter fairly safe, but if I do favor Teamless draft at all, it's going to be narrow, like 55-45 or something like that. These two drafts seem like they're pretty evenly matched. Really, it's just the Invoker, which is a little bit more of a mystery. If you have Rubik Lift into a Fissure, into a Sunstrike, and Gyrocopter being there, I'm pretty sure you could just kill off anyone.
Yeah. Are you certain this is going to be an Exalt Invoker though? I feel like it has to be. Because if they don't go for Exalt Invoker, I don't think Teamless has enough damage to justify the Invoker pick. Or do you feel like Crossworks could work out for them as well?
Usually, the easy rule of thumb is, do you have disables to capitalize off of a Sunstrike? If so, go Exhort. Wex against the Aspera side is okay, like heroes like Clockwork, if you drain him out of mana, just completely useless, and maybe you'll be able to EMP out an anti-mage, but these things are just really hard to do, so it is looking like the Invoker is going up to the off lane. I actually have never seen this before, at least never in the casting seat, so yeah, I'm interested to see what build he's actually going to go for. It's either just going to be a heavy Exhort build or heavy Wex build, and if it's anything else, then, well, color me surprised, but guys, Teamless, or Canistra, or Strength, as they're kind of tagged up as, they're going to be playing on the Radiant side. They're going to put PSM on the Invoker. It looks like it's going to be Kamikaze, not Kamikaze necessarily, on the Earthshaker. This is 633 or BZZ. As you guys may know him as the Gyrocopter. Yol is on the Rubik. That leaves General on the Storm Spirit.
So on the side of Aspera, we have Limbo playing on our Skywrath Mage. Towards the rune, we've got the Apathy playing on our Anti-Mage, Artsq on the
Arzik, I think.
Arzik, I have no idea how to pronounce this. Undershock on the Queen of Pain, and lastly down towards the bottom lane we have Afterlife playing on the Clockwork. I'm gonna have fun with his name.
No, it has to be good though. It can't just be like really crappy ones. I will call you out. But yeah, he's gonna be on the bottom lane, and it looks like he's actually gonna go up against an Invoker with Boots first, with Quas runes picked up first. Not really a huge indication either way, but it is just going to be a nice safe lane Invoker. And versus Clockwork, the Invoker does have a vast damage disadvantage. 38 base damage is absolutely pitiful. So yeah, he's going to need a little bit more base damage to even just poke the Clockwork. Like, you can't really harass with 38 damage. Techies has tried, and it doesn't really do that great. Up towards top, though, they're going aggressive already. Fissure back into a Rocket Barrage. Apathy is here. Fissure can connect onto 2, but Apathy has a blink, so he's going to be completely fine. At least he won't die right now. Whole bunch of hits being traded, but end result is Limbo and Apathy taking a lot more damage than BZ or Yol.
I like the aggression that Canistra's already put onto the side of Aspera. They know they're going up against an anti-mage, and if they can deny him any sort of farm or just delay the Battle Fury, then that's going to help the Storm Spirit as well as the Invoker to shut him down once once they are in their prime, you could say, for those two heroes, because the issue with Storm Spirit and an Invoker is for them to become relevant, they need some sort of farm. So for Invoker, he's going to have to get his phase boots, and you think it's going to be I feel like it's going to be a 4-star after that, unless he wants to go for Hand of Midas. Hand of Midas is an item that you can pick up in the Invoker, and he is going to benefit from the extra levels that you get from a Midas.
Yeah, maybe like Midas, Necrobook, just go for that route. Even with the Wex build, I mean, it's not quite as good as Exhort since you want to be on the pushing train fully, if at all. These are, all viable items for the Invoker, and currently he's just grabbed Quas, so don't really know what he's going to go for just yet, but if you are looking to slow down the anti-mage as much as possible, then you really want to be pushing his towers. Over in the river, Kamikaze not in a great spot right now. Arctic Burn going to fully connect onto the Shaker, drop him pretty low. It looks like with a flare coming in, he might actually go down right now. One more right click, not quite going to do it. Arzik needs one more. In the meantime, it's Limbo getting shot down by the Gyrocopter, and Yol's going to grab first blood. Shaker, not exactly a super tanky hero, but just tanky enough to withstand the, again, really low base damage of Winter Wyvern. 42, not that much more than the 38 of Invoker I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, Winter Wyvern, I think her base damage is almost equivalent to a Crystal Maiden, and unfortunately she is almost just as, isn't she just as slow, if not a little bit slower? I think she's 5 movement speed faster than a Crystal Maiden.
Yeah. What is it with these ice heroes and just being slow as ass?
Well, Lich is different. Lich is like a freaking race car.
He got all the movement speed. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, mid lane though. General sticking around at super low amounts of HP. And Undershock's going to cleanly blink in Shadow Strike and get a kill. That's level 2 Shadow Strike, by the way. And Storm Spirit, he's not going to have a great time versus the Queen of Pain. But he's supposed to get help. But they don't need help because they're going to get a kill on Limbo up towards top. Lift him up into a Rocket Barrage again. That combo is so deadly, and that's really what Aspera have to be playing around. Scarth Mage's job in this lane is obviously to poke and prod at the enemies, but you can't really afford to poke and prod when there's a Shaker there. And Shaker, he's kind of sacrificing his Storm Spirit mid to get dominance up towards top.
It's not just the Shaker, but it's also the Rubik. I was very surprised that the Scarith Mage was just sitting so aggressively in lane because, as you said, Scarith Mage is a super squishy hero, and if he gets caught out and if he gets hit by that combo, there's no way that he's going to survive. So instead, Limbo, he's going to make a rotation down bottom to help out the Clockwork, who he's not struggling. He's on par with the Invoker, but do you feel like denying the Invoker farm with this Scarith Mage is necessary, or do you feel like it's just to help Afterlife a little bit more?
I feel like it's probably just a case of I'm not doing anything up towards top lane, so I might as well go down bottom lane and try to do something. Like, the Scarith Mage has already died twice. He's super fragile. He's fast, and he does a little bit more base damage than the heroes that we were talking about earlier, but again, if he gets caught with a fissure, he's going to get lifted, and if he gets lifted, he's going to get rocket barraged, and there's nothing you can do about that as a Skywrath Mage except for not be there in the first place. So I do like the idea of taking out the Skywrath Mage out of this lane. It is going to severely weaken it, and it might even punish their Queen of Pain, since now the teamless side, they're going to get the read that there is only one support hero left in this top lane, and if they roam over with a Rubik and an Earthshaker, they could very easily kill a Queen of Pain.
Absolutely. So we'll see if that does happen, or if they want to keep up the aggression on the anti-mage. Do you feel like they have to shut down the Queen of Pain at the same time, or would it be sufficient enough to just shut down the anti-mage? He's not absolutely shut down. He still has 11 CS compared to the 23 of the Gyrocopter, but
I mean, usually you don't have the resources to do both, but seems like Teamless might get the resources to do both, because this Scarith Mage is, I don't really know what his mission was. Like, I don't really know what there is to do in this area, except for, like, spot out any stacks, but unfortunately for him, Storm Spirit had a haste rune. Probably any other rune and that wouldn't have been a kill, but hey, Storm Spirit got the right one. No, yeah, the Scarith Mage, I think, probably did scout out the stack, and it looks like maybe they're not going to go for it just yet. They're going to try to instead go for General. He's not quite level 6 yet. Blink forward, Sonic Wave, Scream, not even needed. And Storm Spirit's going to get smashed utterly. PSM's going to come in. Tornado is there, but he doesn't have any mana to do anything else, at least not anything useful. Wex Invoker is supposed to be making these rotations, but as a reinforcement hero, you only have Tornado.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's wasted time for the Invoker because it's 100 gold down the drain. It's also his time wasted because he TP'd into the mid lane and he got absolutely nothing. So Clockwork, who is back in lane and getting his EXP as well as CS, he's going to be happy about this. Whereas for the Teamless, The Invoker's going to be a little bit sad about it, but it's just going to slowly delay whatever item is after. Arsik, does he really want to be here? Queen of Pain's going to be there to back him up though. Fissure going to keep Undershock and place. Now, will they be able to finish off that kill? They will get the Rubik in the backside, but we have Undershock hidden under the invisibility rune, which just spawned there. If he didn't have it, he would have been very unlucky, and Undershock going to be caught out. Oh my goodness, easy pick up there. Actually, no, the blink out. Queen of Pain just gets out with 5 HP, and looks like Arsik will be chased down by an Earthshake, whereas General, he tried to go for the Scarif Mage, but he will get taken down by the Tornado instead. The Invoker making the rotations, and that's going to be 2 heroes dead for nil. God, if that Queen of Pain died as well, that would have been a massive loss for Aspera. I thought he died, it was so close.
Yeah, 5 HP, the entire health pool on the top line just goes down, and if she maybe misplaced her blink, could have gotten taken out by the neutrals, but hey, 3-0-0, the end result there for Undershock. Doing really well up against the Storm Spirit, trying to lock him down as much as possible. Now going to go straight for the Shaker, blink, scream, dagger. There's General here, however, there's a fissure. Is there a pullback? There's no mana on General either. Undershock's going to get the kill with the help of the flare from the bottom lane, and that is going to be another kill for this Queen of Pain, 4-0-0. At this point, probably any hopes that Teamless had of shutting down this Queen of Pain not really going to be applicable anymore. But I was about to say for Afterlife, the Clockwork, going up against not really the worst lane, yet he's still going for this Rocket Flare. Usually you want to be getting Battery Assault if you can, but hey, if you're landing these flares from downtown, then I guess you can get away with pretty much anything. He's now looking for PSM, since he does have a hook shot, but Scarif Mage level 3 can't really help out that much, so I don't really know what they're doing down here. This Invoker is really difficult to kill. He's already invoked Ghost Walk before, and going for a Wex build, he obviously will have that one pretty much whenever he needs it.
Yeah, is there any sort of detection on the side of Aspera to deal with him? I don't think so. So killing the Invoker at this point is just going to be more trouble than it's worth. So instead, they're going to rotate the Clockwork into the mid lane. Will they be able to get the hook shot though? General obviously going to be the more favorable target, but still he will be a little bit too tanky. If the Scarif Mage is nearby and they get the hook shot combo off into the silence, then they should be able to get that kill. But Limbo is still level 3 on the Scarif Mage. I almost feel sorry for Limbo because he's roaming around the map trying to find things, but nothing just is going his way.
Kind of like he's playing correctly, or at least he's more or less playing how he should be, but he's not finding anything just coincidentally. Up towards top lane, and a couple of missteps there, and going a little bit too deep, so maybe more or less he's playing correctly, but maybe a little bit more on the left side. BZZ in a little bit of trouble. Undershock is coming in with Afterlife there as well, and this Gyrocopter doesn't have any help, nor does he have a call down, so he's just going to try to get a kill. I don't really think it's going to happen since there's everyone here. Nice Sonic Wave. That almost hit somebody. I mean, well, I don't know what that was about, but yeah, it's a BM Sonic Wave from the Queen of Pain, and it's not going to matter. They get the kill on the Gyrocopter anyway.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I saw this right. The Clockwork hooked onto Apathy, the anti-mage who TP'd in his, who blinked in his path.
It was something
so
like that, yeah. Oh,
It
YOLO.
was something.
He's going to get jumped. Shadowstruck, and it's going to give Undershock an unstoppable spree. 6-0-0. The Tornado EMP is going to connect on the anti-mage. Doesn't have enough mana to blink out now. Just needs one more hit to get the kill. Well, 2 more hits, I guess. PSM is super quick right now. Does see the anti-mage. And will get that kill. Now into the Queen of Pain. Oh, she'll narrowly dodge the fissure with the blink. PSM, though, going to reinforce on the anti-mage. And, hey, if you can land, as I said before, that EMP on the anti-mage, you're going to be golden. The hard part is actually doing that.
Yeah, so great play there by the Invoker to get that kill on the Anti-Mage. It's going to slow down his farm. The Anti-Mage has kind of gone for this half-half kind of build. He's halfway into boots of into treads, but he's also going in towards the battlefield. He probably just got the Ring of Hell so that he doesn't have to worry about regen. And it looks like Afterlife might be going into the Afterlife very soon. Going to run into a Ghost Walk Invoker. Now he knows it's here. The Earthshake is going to be there as well. EMP, Fissure going to block off his exit, and Afterlife, your grave might be set. No, he's going to be healed up by the Winter Wyvern, and looks like Kamikaze might be in trouble instead. The Invoker's still nearby. He's got no Tornado. He's got no Invoke for 5 seconds. So if this Tornado is going to come out on time, then it's going to be pretty coincidental. Oh, we have the Dust deployed, but did it get connected onto the Invoker? No, it didn't. So the poor Winter Wyvern's going to be lifted up, pulled back, and will she go down? They're not going to commit. They're very scared about reinforcements coming in.
I like this play from Teamless. I mean, they do have the Invisible Invoker, so they will be able to scout out very freely. So there's no sense in taking a fight, like rushing head-on into an unknown amount of heroes if you can get the read on a definitely known amount of heroes. Apathy, gonna get pulled back by the General, but suddenly silenced. Storm Spirit sells a DD rune. Apathy, gonna pop him at the last second with the Mana Void. Cutting it a little bit close perhaps is the Antimate, but he gets the kill anyway. RZ up towards top lane, not looking too great either. He's going to embrace himself, and this is where Invoker at Wex is really at its weak spot. You don't do that much damage when the target is physical immune. PSM going to get punished by Undershot coming in from the south, and RZ, well, he's going to try to get the kill on the Shaker, and he will do so without dropping. Actually, Undershot going to grab that one as well. 8-0-0. Somehow Queen of Pain is finding every single kill in these engagements, but that was just a little bit too aggressive there from the Teamless side. Invoker, Wex Invoker, really is reliant on his right clicks. A little bit more so than an Exhort Invoker who has Sunstrike to get that final hit in. Wex Invoker doesn't do that much damage. He's really just all about sticking to the targets with near max movement speed.
So do you know why the Invoker decided to go for the Quas Wex instead of the Quas Exhort? Do you feel like they needed the Control Invoker? Because as you said, Control Invoker is very weak against the Winter Wyvern's Cold Embrace because he doesn't have the magic output to outdo the Cold Embrace. Is there any other reasoning aside from the control?
I mean, with the Wex Invoker, you typically go for a little bit more of a mobile play style, like as we've already seen. Like was on top lane, now he's bounced back to the bottom lane. This is a very gank-heavy Invoker build, and it's what you go for when you want to gank his team. Up towards top, Gyrocopter gonna get caught with the hook shot, blown up by the Sonic Wave. Gonna get Undershock a godlike spree. But yeah, it seems like either way it wouldn't be the best because Invoker inherently does need his right clicks. Limbo in a little bit of trouble, ball letting in from Storm Spirit. He's gonna jam that kill home. It's just a giant mess of a game, you know, 17 kills, 12 minutes in, and we're really ramping up here. But once Invoker does get this Orchid, then walking around with Ghost Walk, finding someone like a Queen of Pain, it's yeah, or you know, Skywrath Mage, Winter Wyvern, really any of those heroes. It is a really deadly assassination hero.
Yeah, that is absolutely understandable now, General. He just passed by Afterlife on the Clockworks. I'm pretty sure he's going to be glad about that because a Storm Spirit trying to kill a Clockwork is going to probably take way too long for him, and reinforcements like come in a little bit too soon for General to do anything. So, good thing that he did manage to walk by him and not actually see him up top, though. Anti-Mage's just going to be meeting up with the Gyrocopter. They're going to go face to face, and they're just going to leave at that point. You still have Arzik on the Winter Wyvern and the Queen of Pain around. Undershock has a 9-0 score, so if he dies, whoever kills him is going to get a massive amount of gold. And if it goes towards the Storm Spirit or the Invoker, that's going to be a massive chunk of gold going towards whatever items they want, which obviously is the Orchid for the Invoker as you suggested. Whereas for our Storm Spirit, is this a Bloodstone game, or do you feel like this is going to have to be an Orchid game for him as well? Because he's hanging on to quite a bit of gold.
I feel like you would probably go for a Bloodstone in this case, or you don't have to go for an Orchid. Like, you have Rubik's Shaker, which is already pretty good, but you also have an Invoker who, by the way, is getting Mystic Flared. He's actually going to find a corner where he's not hit by that, but it's not going to save him. And at the same time, Winter Wyvern, he's going to get caught by a lift up, and it looks like Rocket Barrage was used. Not even a Fissure was used, though, so I'm not really sure why Winter Wyvern was there, but yeah, it's even kills being traded, a little bit better for Aspera, obviously taking down the Invoker. Invoker is going for an Orchid, and you don't really want to be going for too many of those types of items, since eventually, you know, Queen of Pain wants to get a BKB, Anti-Mage wants to get a Manta Style, and they'll eventually protect themselves against that Orchid, in which case the item becomes a little bit less desirable. Bloodstone isn't really going to run into those types of problems, so it's probably going to be a non-Orchid item for the Storm Spirit, but the upside and downside of this Queen of Pain getting every single kill is certainly there. Like, he's level 10, 14 minutes in, which is pretty darn good for a Queen of Pain, but it's hard to stay alive all the time as Queen of Pain. She's inherently fragile. She will eventually potentially get picked off, maybe even right now, actually. She's going to run right into a Storm Spirit, pulled back, only level 1 pull, however. She's going to turn around and fight. General looking to dodge Sonic Wave, but now here comes the reinforcements. They'll take her down, giving the godlike spirit to the Gyrocopter. How nice of this team to explain exactly what I was explaining, a little bit more literally. Queen of Pain now down, and you want your Queen of Pain to be ahead in the game, but not on top of the game, really.
Yeah, I think we jinxed the Queen of Pain's death, unfortunately. Caster's Curse.
Not my
we
fault.
have to open...
Not my fault.
Oh, of course it's not your fault.
Your
Mike.
fault.
It's absolutely fine. Just put all the blame on me.
Thank you. So nice. So kind.
Yeah. So who actually got that kill streak? It was the Gyrocopter, which he's going to make the most of that gold if anyone. I believe if any hero got it on the side of Teamless, it would have been fine too. If you're giving it to the Earthshaker, then that's gold towards his Blink Dagger. If you give it to the Rubik, then Rubik could go for a Blink Dagger as well. Do you feel like both supports are going to have to look for Blink Daggers this game? Queen of Pain going to secure an easy kill onto PSM, I believe.
Just walk into a
Yeah.
curse.
Scum.
They Scarif Mage didn't even have a mana for Mystic Flare, but it didn't matter. Cursing the Mystic Flare is also pretty ridiculous just as a combo, but yeah, probably just Blink Daggers galore. Rubik may not need one because he can still blink from the Anti-Mage and the Queen of Pain, and he might actually use it right now versus Afterlife. They do have Vision of the Clockwork. They at least had Vision of the Clockwork. Looks like they won't capitalize on that, but maybe Yol just wants to get a Force Staff instead. Mobility is going to be at a premium here for the Teamless side. Yeah, grabbing a Force Staff on Rubik is not quite as good as Blink for initiating, but if you can still Blink, doesn't matter, and Force Staff is really good versus Clockwork, so I think that's probably going to be the build here for Yol.
So the game's starting to slow down at this point. So what would you say the progress is for both teams? Do you feel like Aspera is doing a good enough job just keeping the anti-mage safe enough to farm, or do you feel like they've been set back a little bit more than they should have?
I think they're in a pretty good spot right now. Like, they have a Queen of Pain who's 10-1-0, and that's never really going to be a bad thing necessarily, and they're ahead in kills, and that's fine for them. Again, they want to be sitting in this game with the farming anti-mage, and though the Apathy hasn't really had the best early game, he's now going to get a lot of extra space from the rest of his allies, who are all pretty much fully kicked into gear. Mystic Flare Cog combo is up. The Orchid on the Queen of Pain is up as well. And for the Teamless side, they're going to be, first of all, on the receiving end of a 4-man smoke gank, but also the heroes are just not actively pressuring the top lane anti-mage. Hookshot in is going to catch on the Shaker. EMP is going to be there, but the Queen of Pain jumps right over it and is going to find the Shaker kill at least. PSM, he's going to get dusted up. Ghostwalk not going to do anything. Tornado only going to connect onto one. Here comes a Gyrocopter. We'll find Limbo in the backline, but he does get a Mystic Flare before he dies. Maybe they can capitalize on this one. Even if they can't, it's not really a terribly huge deal. They trade a Skywrath Mage for Invoker, which is already pretty good, plus they get a Shaker as bonus. And looks like Teamless actually want to make another play happen here. They get the Blink lift up onto Afterlife. No CC follow-up, however. General a little bit too far away to fully Blink in there, and he actually will find Undershock. Pull back. Not in time. I think he got fogged at the last second there, so it canceled the Vortex. But yeah.
I think so as well.
So Queen of Pain going to get out of there, but while this is happening, good trade for Aspera, first of all. Plus Apathy is farming, so it's good on two fronts.
Absolutely. So a bit of a loss there for Teamless. Do you feel like Teamless is supposed to be waiting for items? Because you look at their draft and you have to say aggression galore. You've got a Storm Spirit, you have an Invoker, you've got a team that's going to benefit if you continuously fight the enemy. Do you feel like they're being a little bit too passive after a while? Because I feel like Aspera is more aggressive than them at the moment, and that cannot happen because of that anti-mage that is pretty much going to be their time limit. And Limbo just be caught out by General. Easy pick up there. What can you really do as a Skywrath Mage at this point?
Yeah.
Too squishy.
I don't really think they're playing too passive right now. Soon they're going to start kicking into gear, like once they have the Orchid and the Bloodstone completed on the Invoker and Storm Spirit. Ideally a Blink Dagger on Shaker to be there as well, but it looks like that's just not in the cards. They have a Gyrocopter who's working with the Helm of the Dominator, has all of his small items, has his Yash in production. He's incredibly farmed, in fact, the most farmed in the game. The kill on the Queen of Pain definitely helping out in a big way as far as that is concerned. But yeah, the Teamless side, they can sit back for a little while longer, but once they grab this set of items, the Bloodstone and the Orchid, then they should be looking to turn the heat up way high on the Anti-Mage, because he's been farming pretty happily. Has his Battle Fury completed, Power Treads, as well as, looks like nothing on the Courier. But still, they have to pressure this Anti-Mage or pressure the entire team as a whole.
Yeah, this anti-mage is actually farming at an average speed, so even though there was a little bit of aggression thrown at him during the early game, he's come back remarkably well. And this is going to be a problem for Teamless. How are they going to deal with him in the future? So tower's taken down. They will TP into both mid as well as bottom. So there's going to be no more push for Teamless. They're still going to keep on farming for their items. And Orchid is done on the Invoker. He's going to try and go for a kill into Undershock, but looks like he's going to be Orchided up and turned around. And Undershock looks like he might be able to get the kill. He will get the tower instead, lifted up by Yol. And it looks like the Rubik's trying to fight up against the Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain trying to blink into the tree line, looking for PSM, but he hasn't found him. It's immediate TP out. The Queen of Pain is going to survive an Apathy, who tried to go in for the final snag, didn't find his target, and had to just blink away.
Well, the tower was destroyed by the Dire, so even though that was extremely narrow from Aspera, it is still a tower claimed. Hookshot in, gonna catch the Gyrocopter. He's farming Ancients. Call down is there, but he's sitting in a flare, and he's not gonna survive. Ancients will not kill off Afterlife either, and Clockwork's gonna get back home safe and sound. They're going to run into the General right now. They have a curse. They have a lot of heroes here, in fact. General needs to get out. Really slow on the draw. Do they have a TP cancel? Yes, they do. Okay, a little bit too much there, but hey, they get the kill and that's fine. They also take a 1, 2, 3, 4 5 stack of Ancients? No, just 4 stack of Ancients, but still, there's a lot of gold into the pockets of Aspera, out of the pockets of Teamless. EMP gonna connect onto Arzeek. That's a little bit awkward. Blink Fissure as well there onto the Winter Wyvern in a little bit of trouble. Will get dropped by the Rurik from the low ground. Limbo not looking too hot either. He all steals the bolts, which is not that great, but Undershock's still around, still kicking really hard as well. Gets lifted out of his Sonic Wave, now Silence as well. Dragging up to the high ground. Fissure is there. Undershock in a lot of trouble right now, and he will go down to the Echo Slam, but Afterlife is here as well as the Apathy. They'll clean up at least one. They'll take down the Shaker as well as BZZ now trying to get kills onto anyone you could find, but there aren't really many heroes left. Aspera, they absolutely clean house. The first kill on that Gyrocopter really setting everything up for that.
And oh my god, Afterlife, he wants to fight up against this Gyrocopter, but he's by himself. He has to be so careful. He can actually get killed off here, but luckily for him, there's no points into the homing missile, so he's going to be able to TP out safely. I feel like Teamless was a little bit too aggressive at that. They wanted to try and save their Ancients, but instead they feed away 4 heroes. That was not worth it in the least.
And it's such a weird place to have a fight as well, like everyone jumping from the high ground to the low ground, and well, I think it could have been even worse for Teamless if the Queen of Pain actually did get her Sonic Wave off. If the Invoker wasn't there just in time with the Orchid, then the Sonic Wave just would have wrecked everybody on the Radiant side. But yeah, the end result is Aspera collect a whole bunch of kills. The gold swing is kind of even after the fight is concerned, but the Aspera side also grabbed the stack of Ancients from the Radiant. Anti-Mage, I don't believe, went down there. Looks like he got 2 kills and was able to get out. So yeah, it's a big win for the Apathy at the very least. Now heading towards his Manta style. He already has the Yasha component of that. Arzeek not looking to be in a great position, however. As soon as you see that Ghost Walk effect on you, you just say, oh crap, I'm dead. And that's going to hold true for Arzeek. He's going to get obliterated.
Yeah, easy pickup there for Teamless. They need more kills like that. Just go for those little pickoffs. Make sure that they don't get jumped on by Aspera, and they're going to be golden if they can just accumulate gold and map control that way. But
Mid.
for Aspera, they don't have to do that. Instead, they're going to try and go for a jump onto the Queen of Pain, but it looks like Queen of Pain's going to be able to get out safely, but Limbo looks like he's going to be in a bit of a different boat. He will be taken down. General going to be in the high ground. He'll be orchided up by the Queen of Pain in the end, and Undershock wants to try and fight him. General, there's a Sonic Wave. Undershock still has to be careful, though. Not enough damage to take down the Storm Spirit, and he's going to have to leave. Whereas Roshan is being taken by Apathy as well as Afterlife, and it looks like Teamless doesn't even know this is happening.
You don't expect an Anti-Mage to be doing this. They saw his items, they saw it wasn't Vlad, so you usually won't have the sustain to actually kill off someone like Roshan, but they did. Now they have a double life on the Anti-Mage, so it's sacrificing your Skywrath Mage. Yeah, you burn your Sonic Wave, it's not really a terribly huge deal, but you get a lot of extra golden experience in the Anti-Mage, not to mention that double life as well. But for Teamless, at least they get the Blink Dagger on the Shaker. This game is still very even and will be determined in the next couple of large-scale fights, I think, because we do have PSM. He does see Undershock. He's not going to apply the Ghost Walk effect. There it is, finally. EMP is there, and the Orchid is there as well. Undershock's going to get pulled right back into a Fissure, but General sitting in a Mystic Flare. Hookshot as well, will die. Curse onto Yo with 2 heroes attacking him. He'll die instantly as well with a 2-man Cogs. PSM and Kamikaze not in a good spot right now. They'll both blow up to the Apathy's Mana Void. What a turnaround there from Aspera. Not only the curse from the Winter Wyvern, but the Cog follow-up. Absolutely perfect.
That was beautiful execution by Aspera. If it went any other way, I don't think they would have been able to get all of those kills. So for them to get that and to only lose the Queen of Pain, it's a godsend. And unfortunately for the Storm Spirit, he wasn't able to deny himself because he was stuck in that perma stun lock, and that's going to drop his Bloodstone charges back down to 6. And that is not an ideal situation when you're running a Bloodstone first on your Storm Spirit. Going to go for the pull onto Apathy, but he's going to be able to get away.
That pull did next to nothing. The Storm Spirit has a Bloodstone 24 minutes in, and that's about it. And all up against an Anti-Mage, up against the Curse into Skywrath Mage Ultimate, it's a lot of damage to worry about. A lot of things that you want to play around as a Storm Spirit, but you really can't, mostly because all of these disabling tools are just point-click, and then you get the effect. So Aspera are sitting now really pretty in this game. With a nice kill lead, they're going to drop the net worth advantage away from the Teamless side and back into their favor, but with such a farmed Anti-Mage as well, it's looking a little bit worse for this Gyrocopter, who is still keeping up pretty well, going for a BKB now, but just doesn't seem like this Gyrocopter will have as much of an effect on the Aspera side as the Anti-Mage will have on the Teamless side. the Mana Void, we've already seen it. It has been destroying the Radiant team, and it will not change up against the Storm Spirit. They're going to look for a BZZ now in the bottom lane. Silence is there. No real follow-up. However, here comes Anti-Mage and Hookshot. This Gyrocopter's in a lot of trouble. Fissure is going to be thrown, but it won't do anything. It'll get them a call down, but that's not going to kill off the Queen of Pain. Maybe that'll deter Aspera from going for anything else, but it's still Gyrocopter, the core 1 position hero for Teamless, dropping.
Yeah, so that's a great execution of that was a great gank execution there by Aspera, whereas Teamless, they wanted to reinforce, but the moment that they saw how much damage was being thrown out to the Gyrocopter, they just realized, okay, we probably cannot go into this 4v5, so they just back up, which I like. Just play it safer, try and find some farm elsewhere, and hope that they can get more suitable and safer pickoffs for them, because Aspera is moving as a 5-man unit, and when they're fighting together, you compare the two teams, Aspera has the better team fight, the more durable heroes, the more items, and they also have an Aegis, whereas Teamless, they're running a little bit low in everything, so just fighting them with a disadvantage such as having one hero down, it's too risky.
Yeah, they just don't really have items that are translating as well as the Aspera's items are. Like, the Queen of Pain can do so much with just an Orchid, Clockwork has everything he wants, and just for the early game stage, or I guess like we're pushing mid game now, but the Aspera heroes as a 5-man unit, as you said, are just working a little bit better than the Radiant heroes, who are just kind of off on their own. You already see it just taking a quick snapshot of the mini-map, like a couple heroes in the top lane, a couple of awkward heroes in the bottom lane, and Aspera, they're mostly condensed on this bottom lane. They're going to concede a lot of damage to this top tier 2, but they're going to get Yol for sure. Double damage Undershock. Yol stands still and accepts his fate. Yeah, once you get blinked upon by the Queen of Pain, you're probably dead, but a double damage Queen of Pain, that's just not even fair. Mid lane is going to be pushed while this is happening, and I mean, the gold advantage isn't really too huge for the Radiant side. Just feels like they're not getting nearly as many objectives or kills as the Aspera side, and they're just trying to play this very safe and very skirmishy, but it's not really working out for them.
Yeah, so BKB is now complete on the Gyrocopter. I don't feel like this is going to be effective enough to really benefit the Gyrocopter in the fights. And actually, there's going to be a hookshot onto a poor Earthshaker who wanted to be sneaky but managed to get caught out by the Clockwork, as well as an anti-mage. So easy pick up there. But yeah, like I said, the BKB on the Gyrocopter, it's not that amazing. Winter's Curse still goes through BKB, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so it still goes through BKB. You have Sonic Wave that goes through BKB. You still have the hookshot that will still land on the target. So it is not an ideal item on the Gyrocopter, but I feel like he only picked it up to avoid most of the damage, in particular the Scarif Mage ultimate.
Yeah, it's an item that you kind of need, but you don't want to get. Undershot gonna blink straight in. He has a BKB of his own, and for the Radiant side, they don't really have that much to deal with the BKB on their end. Tower will be destroyed by the Wyvern, and looks like everyone else from Aspera will back off, or at least feign backing off. Afterlife does have another hookshot in just 3 seconds. The BZZ standing around Yol as well. They see Yol. He has a blink out, stolen by the Anti-Mage, so he'll get out of there safe and sound, but while this is happening, just a minor amount of farm occurring for the Storm Spirit. He gets his BKB as well, but as we said, these BKBs will not protect him against the Winter Wyvern. A good curse can just instantly win a fight for the Aspera side. They'll back off because their Aegis has timed out, and really they're in no rush, but they walk in, take a tier 2 tower, no fight, no problem. Now they walk back and just continue their farm. They've gotten a Solar Crest now on the Clockwork, plus a Glimmer Cape on the Winter Wyvern, plus a mech on the Skywrath Mage. These are pretty much all the basic items you could possibly want on these heroes.
You look at Aspera, they actually have a lot of sustain with the mechanism plus the Winter Wyvern. They can fight for, you could say, forever. Whereas Teamless, they don't have that sustain. They don't have a mechanism, they don't have an urn, they don't have any hero with any sort of healing or sustain to help their team. So if for them to win the fight, they have to burst down Aspera. And that means that they need to get the call down, they have to get a Echo, they have to get the key Echo Slam, they're going to have to get a stolen spell that the Rubik can really benefit from. They need everything to land perfectly. But their draft, you compare it to Aspera, there's more ease and execution on Aspera's side, and in the middle lane, our Storm Spirit managed to get caught by a curse, and when you get cursed, you're not getting anywhere.
You're gonna get flared as well. Completely missed that, my god, guys, but yeah, the Bloodstone and BKB to add to his health pool, not quite enough. Yol, he's going to blink out, and Undershock gonna turn around straight away and go for this Rubik. 1 second until blink, but it's not in time with the Orchid arriving, and that's gonna be yet another kill for the Aspera side. They're just outmaneuvering the Teamless side right now. And while this is happening, Apathy up towards top has been pushing, going to claim a tier 2. They're going to poke up the high ground, see what they can get, maybe try to force a buyback, but odds are they're not going to fully commit to this. With no Winter's Curse, no hook shot, there's just absolutely no point. So they'll get out of there, they'll put some damage on the tower, but really, they're doing this because they can. Like, what else are they going to be doing in the meantime? Blink Echo Slam onto the Apathy, though, in a lot of trouble, going to get healed up by the Winter Wyvern, but it's not enough. Queen of Pain also dropping 2 BZZ. Now they're on to our Zeke, and they're going to kill off the Wyvern super easily onto Afterlife, and, well, as Limbo. He'll try to TP out the Skywrath Mage. Looks like we will go down, actually, to a fissure at the last second. Afterlife is the only survivor. Now, the upside of going for that push, again, you can't really get the tower, so it's not really there. The downside is that you get careless, and they get surprised by a Shaker, and that is a pretty good initiation there from the Teamless side.
Yeah, the execution on the side of Teamless was beautiful. That was the best thing that they could ask for, and now they have a massive chunk of gold going into all of their heroes. So that's going to help supplement their farm to get their next set of items. Now, the Storm Spirit, who did struggle for the majority of the game, got 4 Bloodstone charges back. He dropped down to 4, and if you cannot accumulate Bloodstone charges when you have decided to go for it first, then something is absolutely wrong. You need to snowball. So those kills are going to help him out. It hasn't helped him come back completely, but it has prevented any more damage as well as a push happening in that top lane. So if Teamless can keep having fights happen like that, then they absolutely can come back into the game. No matter how good Aspera's team fight is, if they get caught off guard like that again, we may see the exact same story play out.
But more importantly, perhaps, they're going to jar Aspera out of their full 5-manning, and they actually see the Apathy up towards top, ball ending in as soon as the Anti-Mage blinks out. That's just unfortunate timing there for General. I don't think that was reaction time, I think that was just coincidence. But Apathy's still going to run into an invisible Earthshaker, and he does not know that the Shaker is currently there. Are they actually going to go on this Anti-Mage? Looks like they don't want to. Everyone from Teamless is going to back off. And no Echo Slam, so they're missing that crucial stun. And, well, actually, Invoker's coming in with the Invis. His Ghost Walk is going to be seen, and Anti-Mage this time will just reaction blink out. Ideally there for Teamless, they would have liked Aspera to, separate and go their own separate ways. After having lost so many heroes, that's sometimes what teams do, and if they were to do that, then they would be in a really, really bad position, but instead, it's only General who's in a bad position. He's going to start fighting up against Undershock, pops his BKB. Queen of Pain has another blink out in 1 second, but General has enough mana to follow, and he will do just that. Here comes the Skywrath Mage with the mech. Undershock still going to go down, however. General finally going to get cursed and flared up and hookshot. Okay, well, it's a 1-for-1 trade after all is said and done. I think Queen of Pain's still, well, actually, Queen of Pain's 5 levels behind the Storm Spirit. How the hell did that happen? It's going to benefit the Aspera side just a little bit more, but, man, the Storm Spirit, he's level 20. It was just that last team fight. Apathy down to a bottom lane, finally going to get popped. Orchid is there, plus a Deafening Blast, double call down missile. He has a blink, but he can't quite get it out. And Gyrocopter's going to get that kill as well. Now it's a huge trade in favor of Teamless.
Yeah, I fully believe the Storm Spirit got that 20 during that team fight up in the top lane. There's no other way that he would have been able to get that many levels. Because you look at the Storm Spirit, if you compare his contribution to the Queen of Pain, you'd think Queen of Pain would have more levels. I guess it's also because Aspera's been 5-manning and that they're not getting as much EXP on the map. That could be another reason as to why she's that under-leveled. So, still, I would have to say, yeah.
It's the Bloodstone as well. You do get that sometimes forgotten effect of you heal your allies and you get the experience from where you die. So maybe that also yeah.
I didn't even know that existed. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I never pick up Bloodstone.
Because no one actually reads Bloodstone. They just see people get it and they're like, it's good. And it's true, but yeah, it's not often a relevant thing, but looking at the Storm Spirit, who right now is the highest leveled hero in the game, it kind of has to be relevant. Like, I can't imagine anything else. They're going to try to go for Roshan. Tornado will be thrown, won't spot anyone. Aspera know all about this. Again, with the flare, they have perfect vision. Undershock, is he going to want to go in? We have Winter Wyvern flying over the top, looking for the curse on a PSM. They'll obliterate the Invoker. They'll jump in, snatch the kills, and the Aegis of the Immortal for the Queen of Pain. General standing in strong, though, with BZZ. This Gyrocopter just taking no damage. Finally, here comes the Apathy. He'll go straight for Yellow, gets the first hit bash. Now trying to go for the Gyrocopter. Undershock going to re-initiate, and they'll take down the Gyrocopter and chase forward for the Earthshaker. They'll take a triple kill. Aspera take a huge win now. PSM still in the area, maybe thinking about going for this one, but with only the Storm Spirit to back him up, that's not a good idea. Great initiation there from Aspera again. Forced out the buyback actually on the Invoker. And it's ultimately 3-4k gold swing with a huge amount of experience gained from Aspera. And they lose the Aegis, I think. I don't know who grabbed the Aegis. It was the Queen of Pain who grabbed it.
It was
She still has it, actually.
Yes. Yes. So that was a massive win there for Aspera. I'm surprised that Teamless decided to stay in the Roche Pit for so long when they knew that Aspera was going to be coming into the Roche Pit. And you compare the team fight, you have to be so careful. So bit of a miss. Because, would you say that was a misthought by Teamless to think that they would get it in time?
Yeah, I think it probably was. Like, this Gyrocopter, he has a Demon Edge, but doesn't have a completed damage item just yet. He can tank Roshan for forever, and he won't die, but as far as killing him off, it's not really going to be that great. And if you just look at Aspera's heroes, as far as their mobility is concerned, the Skywrath Mage is the only one who would, in theory, be falling behind, but even he has a Force Staff. So literally everyone on Aspera can go from outside the Roche Pit to inside the Roche Pit with just a skill cast. Like, Winter Wyvern flew over the edge, annihilated the Invoker with the Curse, Queen of Pain has Blink, Hookshot from the Clockwork. Like, they have so many tools of jumping over this cliff that the Teamless side should have seen that one coming. They're decent at fighting in the Roche Pit, just as their heroes are concerned, but only if they're the ones to be crashing Aspera. The other way around, and all their heroes get a lot more awkward, especially this Invoker, where Tornado as a linear skill, like it goes in a line, is not good when you're on the defense in the Roche Pit.
Yeah, so we'll see if Teamless manages to learn from their mistakes. They've made a couple of mistakes. They have made a couple of decent plays. Are they going to stay on the aggressive? Looks like they will. There is a sacrifice completed onto General, and that's going to help him out with the initiations. He can just zip in, go for the Hex, and what can his target really do? And that's going to help his team with the follow-up, and they should be able to burst them down. They're trying to find somebody, but Aspera is doing the exact same thing as Teamless. They're going into the enemy jungle, they're farming it out, and if they see anybody, it's a kill on sight. So Teamless better be careful if they go back to their base.
And they will have to. They can't afford to race going through a tier 2 tower, even though it is pretty weak. Aspera can just touch up the high ground and see what they can get. You know, last time they did this, it didn't really work out for them. There's another Echo Slam on the Shaker, but Aspera still have this Aegis on the Queen of Pain. They are pretty much ready to go for this push. You know, obviously the Anti-Mage would like a little bit more farm eventually, but hey, if you can take Raxes, you might as well go ahead and try it. Finally, Teamless, they're going to start TPing back. Tornado is going to fly, connect into the Queen of Pain. She should have a blink out to avoid the EMP. It will actually connect, but you know, she has enough regen to be more or less okay. And by that I mean she's at full HP already. This is getting increasingly dangerous for Aspera. Aegis or not, a blink Echo Slam can annihilate everyone minus the Queen of Pain and the Anti-Mage, and then what are you going to do? You revive into a whole swarm of enemy heroes, not a good place to be, so I don't think Aspera should really be doing this, Aegis or not. They're just not far enough ahead to look to break the base and end the game yet.
Then it's not just that they're not far enough ahead either, it's because they don't have the best heroes to go on high ground. They're going to be a 4-star onto Undershock. He's going to be lifted up into the air. He has the Aegis though, so even if he dies, he has a second life, and Apathy going to jump right onto the Earthshaker. Beautiful curse by the Winter Wyvern to keep everyone in place, and already the Storm Spirit said 3 heroes in the cogs. They really want to finish up this hero, and Gyrocopter is still alive. He's not dead as of yet. Apathy going to go down, Echo Slam to make sure that they stay in place. Winter Wyvern going to go down as well, and we have Undershock as well as our Limbo, who Limbo managed to TP out, and Queen of Pain looks like he'll be able to get out safely as well, unless he gets caught out. Vision not going to connect. They're still chasing, but blink off cooldown, and he's pretty much safe to go.
Oh, wait,
oh!
Well, never mind.
All right.
It's level 2.
Right. Oh,
yeah, I just assumed that it would be like a maxed out Sunstruck, I guess. I don't know, but it hit, and that's where it counts as Invoker. So far, 100% hit rate. So a couple of things went really right there from Aspera, and a couple of things went really wrong. They lost the Queen of Pain's first life without her doing anything. She got completely crushed. They did force a buyback out of the Shaker, but he did get an Echo Slam out in the end, and it was a really good one at that. But the worst thing that happened for Aspera was that the Winter's Curse, even though it was used pretty well, was also stolen by the Rubik. And at the point of Rubik's casting that Winter's Curse, Aspera had 3 heroes in those cogs. And I don't know what happened, but Anti-Mage was in there as well, so either he was cursed up or he was hitting his allies. It's a little bit too much of a cluster F to really figure out what was going on in there, but either way, Anti-Mage was locked down within the duration of that. So huge steal from Yol there. Pretty much that in of itself turned that fight around. That's the only reason why BZZ actually survived that because he wasn't being attacked that entire time. He's going to get jumped now, though, and they're going to need another Winter's Curse to get them out of this one. Mystic Flare nowhere near on the mark. Undershot going to try to fight this Gyrocopter 1 vs 1, but gets cursed up again from Yol, and they'll take the Queen of Pain down. Now looking towards the Apathy. General's occupying his time right now. Apathy's going to start to run out of BKB, but he still has a couple of seconds left, and he will get back to his base. Hookshot onto the Storm Spirit up towards the top side. Blink in for the silence. They'll force the suicide out from the Storm. And it's going to be yet another kill on the Queen of Pain, forcing out the buyback there. Tier 3 has dropped 29 to 36, and this game is just so back and forth. Now with a slight lead towards the Teamless side, but as we clearly have seen, these leads can turn very, very quickly.
It's all based on the execution of the team fight, and Aspera, they get a little bit, but they're hardly getting anything out of it. Do you feel like Aspera's rushing the game in their attempts to even go high ground? Because it feels like it's still too early for them, right? They have very horrible high ground push. The only hero that we could say be the safest hero to go high ground will be the anti-mage, or if he wants to, he could just send up the illusion slowly and just chip away at it. They don't have to finish it so soon, but they're itching to finish this game. Is that something that they're supposed to be afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely... It definitely seems like they're done with this game. Like, they want this game to end as soon as possible. They can't do it since every single time they tried, it just hasn't worked out. And they actually might lose Limbo right now. Suddenly, double Invis heroes. No jump just yet. He's going to put up an Observer, and there was a gem floating around somewhere. I'm not really sure where that ended up.
It was on the
Apathy. Sunstrike is there, plus the curse. Apathy, the third curse by Yol, and then will kill off the anti-mage. Curse was turned, though, onto the Shaker, and Gyrocopter's doing a lot to his ally. Here comes the General. He's going straight towards Arzeek, and the cooldown is there. BZ firing off the flag cannon, and will annihilate a couple of heroes. Going for Arzeek now. He's trapped in Limbo. He's sheeped up, and he's going to die as well. Meteor's going to roll right on through. Arzeek going to try to get away, but that's not going to happen. He's going to drop, and man, Rubik's curse is stealing them all the time. Is going to be just destroying the Aspera side. They also see Undershock with the Tornado, but they probably can't do anything about this. Aspera get absolutely demolished right now because of the initiation again from Team Teamless. They should have been looking for a pick off Aspera. They don't really win the game by just 5-manning, 5v5ing down a lane. They have to make it a 4v5, make it a 3v5, then try to take Raxus straight after. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves in a situation like this, where they don't have any heroes, all those heroes are dead and they don't have buyback, and they're going to lose one, probably two sets of Raxes. This might even be game.
It might even be game, yeah. And also, because Aspera has been 5-manning for so long during this game, they actually have a level deficit. And because they haven't been winning the fights, they're not actually getting any levels. So with all these fights that are happening and Aspera kind of panicking and going in one by one in that most latest fight, it's really hurting the outcome. And all of a sudden, the game's turned on its head. And all of a sudden, you have Teamless, who's pushing into your base. And this is supposed to be the exact opposite. Aspera is supposed to be the team knocking on Teamless's front door, but it's just not happening. Do you feel like it's just been a couple of execution errors by Aspera to give away some of those big spells, or just having a couple of weird engagements?
I don't know if it's like... I don't know if you necessarily call it an execution error. I think the decision making to like go for the push, that was a bad one, and that's not really execution. I guess we just chalk that up to decision making. So decision making from Aspera, not really the best. The execution was not so much bad on the Aspera side as it was good on the Teamless side. Like, as a Winter Wyvern, you drop the curse, and these spells have really long cooldowns. Like 7 seconds from the Splinter Blast is kind of manageable, but usually you use the curse and then you're just done. So Yol, the fact that he got that one time and is now level 16, so his spells remain stolen for a really long time, as well as making it so that the Radiant side are just outplaying Aspera in these fights. Aspera still do have the burst damage necessary to get the kills and get out, but every single time they try, there's a Winter's Curse waiting for them because Rubik somehow grabs it, or a Fissure, or a Tornado EMP. Like, Aspera have to fight through so much, and if they get clipped by any of it, then the fight is just over for them.
So there is also BKB onto Apathy. Do you feel like picking up a BKB is worth it this game on the anti-mage, just to make sure that he's not controlled up, or do you feel like he could have picked up something else such as a damage item? Because even though he has a BKB, he's still dying.
They're going to get jumped. Curse onto the General right now. Anti-Mage is going to jump right in, but 3-man Cogs actually trapping the Dire team in it. Bad Cogs by Afterlife, and now Apathy's in a lot of trouble. They'll kill off the Clockwork, Queen of Pain with the flag cannon. Now Apathy has to blink out, but he will get Echo Slammed. Oh, it wasn't looking good for Aspera to begin with, but 3-man Cogs usually pretty good, but not when those 3 men are your allies. So it's just all over from there on out. They'll finish the Winter Wyvern. They'll take the game. And that was definitely not the cleanest game from either side, but it is Teamless, the kind of more unknown team, I guess you could say, to take the win.
Honestly, I was not expecting them to take that game. I thought that Aspera would have been able to come through with the anti-mage pick, but just seeing some of those team fights unravel, you really saw the power of Teamless. The execution was amazing during the late game. They kept a clean head. They realized that, yes, we made a couple of mistakes during the early to mid game, but they've managed to come through during the late game. And I felt like Aspera just kind of fell apart during the late game. They got a little overconfident. They were trying to rush the game, and they got punished heavily for it. And it cost them the game.
The Queen of Pain got off to a really good start, but I think the Skywrath Mage Clockwork combo really needed a little bit more usage there. I think they probably thought they were really far ahead, but they weren't, because while they were getting these kills on Queen of Pain, they were also, you know, not farming as quickly in general as the other team. So yeah, you get the kills, but the enemy team gets the CS, and it usually is going to balance out pretty evenly there, and in this case it does. So Team Teamless, they are going to take game 1. This is the best of 3, guys, so we still have potentially 2 more games coming up. I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by Danelie, and we'll be right back for game 2 from the Hitbox European Championship. Don't go anywhere.